Welcome to Your Family's Health, the program that focuses on healthcare issues with unique and different modalities for taking charge of your health today. Experts talk weekly with our continuing roster of guests from around the country and right here in Nassau County to keep you up to date on the latest health issues and trends. Take care of your mind, body, and soul. Spend the next half hour with the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and get on the journey to better health.
Hello and welcome to Your Family's Health. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College nursing student Michael Dorio. And today we'll be talking about a hot topic in the world of health and medicine, medical marijuana. Today we'll learn about how marijuana business is shaping up in the states that legalized it for medical and recreational use with our guest, Hillary Peckham, COO of Etain Health, one of the country's cultivators and distributors of medical marijuana. Hillary, welcome to Your Family's Health, the voice of Nassau Community College. Welcome. I'm glad that you were able to be with us today. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I see that your bio says that you're 24 years old. It must be quite nice to first of all be that age, and then
I'm quite yep. So I've actually grown up a little bit since the bio was written. I'm 27 at this point.
Okay.
So, a little older, but So I am an owner and a founder of one of New York's first and only medical marijuana licensees, and we are the only women-owned, the only family-owned, and the only New York resident-owned licensee in the state. We currently hold a license in New York and in California, and we're expanding out there throughout the year. And in New York, we're vertically integrated, so we cultivate, we manufacture, and we dispense all of the products that we make through our own storefronts, which we have in Syracuse, in Kingston, Yonkers, and New York City at 39th and Lexington.
Wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about some facts. What states have, in fact, legalized the use of marijuana for medicinal purposes?
I think at this point there are over 30 states, so more than half of the country has some sort of medicinal marijuana legislation and guidelines in place.
So when we're talking about medical marijuana, tell me in terms of the name, would it be still called marijuana, or are we using Marinol? What is the correct terminology that?
So technically, we like to use the term cannabis because that is the genus of plant. Marinol or Epidiolex right now those are synthetic. They're organically modified. So we are using whole plant extract and the actual plants we grow to make our products, as opposed to creating something that's patentable and manipulated from like its true form.
So when we're talking about medical marijuana, in terms of the pill form, or is it smoked, or various ways in terms of administration of this particular Marinol or medical marijuana?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you can refer to it as cannabis or medical marijuana. So each state has its own designation for how products are manufactured and how they're dispensed to patients. And so in New York, the reason why we got involved is because they have some of the highest standards for production and for product quality that you find in the nation. I think, in my opinion, it is the highest standard, and it's being used as a model internationally. So in New York, originally when we started, we were only allowed to produce oil forms of the product. So what we do is we take the plant material, and using like carbon dioxide and extraction, we take out the oil. So you're really only getting the cannabinoids, which are the parts of the plant that can provide medical benefit to some patients. And so we manufacture, as do many of the other organizations in New York, capsules, tinctures, which is like a liquid that you can put under your tongue. We have we're the only organization that produces a water-soluble powder and lozenges. We also have inhalable forms like a vaporizer, which is a lot like an e-cigarette. And what we can do with this is really target the cannabinoids that exist in the plant, and the primary ones are THC and CBD. And CBD is, a very big buzzword right now for having anti-inflammatory, potentially anti-anxiety effects, and you can buy that from hemp. THC has more of a psychoactive component to it, and what a lot of people might be afraid of because it can cause euphoria or a high. And what we are able to do is, and I think is unique in New York, is create a dosable, measured, and very accountable system for how we manufacture our product. So every time you come and you purchase something from us, you can get a consistent third-party tested dose, and it's free of pesticides, and it's free of any heavy metals and anything that might be harmful. So you have pharmaceutical quality products that are measured and reliable in this program.
So when you're talking about the cannabinoids, these are the components of the plant that does not cause euphoria. Is that correct?
So there's varying parts, and some of them do. And I think everyone is a little afraid of the euphoria because there's a lot of propaganda from when Prohibition was established of like reefer madness and things like that. So people consider, euphoria and a high to be bad. And what we've actually seen in our patients is that THC, which causes this, can have a really strong effect and positive effects for patients in terms of mitigating pain relief and immediacy. And in order for CBD, which is the non-psychoactive component, to work, there's a lot of data and studies coming out that you need at least a little bit of THC, not enough to really feel its effects, but just so that the CBD can bind to receptors. The THC component can be very helpful for patients, and it's not like an opioid. So we have a lot of patients right now who come in and, instead of with opioids where they say, they can't function or they can't think and they're groggy and it causes a lot of sleepiness. We have a lot of patients who are going back to the workforce who can smile and get through their day. They can focus better. And I think being able to titrate and measure your dose is really critical in controlling how you use these products.
So you make available both the form of the THC as well as the CBD, correct?
Yes, we do.
And so in terms of purchasing some of these products in any form, is there a regulation in terms of unit dosage? Can a person who walks into your stores know that they're getting the same dose every time they purchase a particular product? And how do we measure that or meter that?
So the first aspect is how you get enrolled in the program is you go to a certifying physician, and there's a list of who's certified to prescribe medical marijuana on the New York State Department of Health's website. And then once you get essentially a prescription, but they call it a certification from a physician, you enroll in the program and you get a card that says you're an active participant in the medical marijuana program in New York State. Then in that prescription that the doctor writes, they might dictate what you're allowed to purchase, how many milligrams of THC or CBD, what products you can take, or they might leave it up to our staff. And I think what's also unique in New York that I really appreciate is every single dispensary, whether it's Etain or any of our competitors, has a licensed pharmacist on staff that counsels each patient and goes through all of their medication history and creates really a program for them in conjunction with whatever the doctor has dictated to make sure that this is being responsibly consumed and that people are taking measured and metered doses to target the ailments that they're suffering from, but to ensure that there's no abuse. So you have multiple levels of protection, both with a doctor's oversight and our pharmacist's oversight, making sure that this is used for medicinal purposes and making sure that it's used in ways that's responsible.
You're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College. I'm here along with my nursing student co-host, Michael Dorio. And today we're talking about marijuana business and how it's shaping up in the states that legalized it for medical and recreational use with our guest, Hillary Peckham, COO of Etain Health, one of the the country's cultivators and distributors of medical marijuana. So, Hillary, you talked about the medical marijuana and how it's regulated through the physicians and the pharmacists. Do you also supply over-the-counter forms of this marijuana, and is it also regulated in some way?
Yep. So we do not do that, and at this point, New York only has a medical program, and we are forbidden from doing that. So you in order to purchase any products from us, you have to be an active patient and enrolled in the state with the oversight of a doctor and have a card. So that at this point is not an option.
So you'd mentioned pain as a condition a patient can use medical marijuana. What other conditions can they seek treatment from this medicinal use?
Yep. So chronic pain is one of the qualifying conditions, and I'll go further to say New York has a specific list of qualifying conditions for which they deem applicable for patients to get enrolled in the program. So there's, I think, about 11 at this point: cancer, ALS, MS. There's epilepsy, spinal cord spasticity, and I'm blanking on the rest, but they're on our IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, can be another qualifier. And then you also have to have a list, or you have to have another qualifying symptom, which can be pain, spasticity, cochlea or wasting syndrome, seizures. So you have to have both symptoms and the disease in order to qualify for this.
Okay, and how much does it usually cost for medical marijuana? And does insurance help at all, or is it strictly patient out of pocket?
So because medical marijuana is illegal at a federal level, there aren't insurance providers that are covering the cost of this. So it is out of pocket. And additionally, because it's federally illegal, there's a lot of banking restrictions. So it is unfortunately an all-cash business generally. And it's one where patients are paying for their medication out of pocket. We generally find that patients are spending about $250 a month on medication, and it's not covered by insurance.
So where's the marijuana coming from? Where's the marijuana harvested from?
Yep. So we cultivate and manufacture our products in Chestertown, New York, which is about an hour north of Lake George, and so very, very, very north. And we use good agricultural practices and good manufacturing practices. And then once all of our products are created, they're sent to a third-party testing laboratory that does final analysis to make sure they're homogeneous and safe and they can go out to sale.
So, similar to alcohol, is there any minimum age for medical marijuana to be purchased?
So for medical marijuana, there is not a minimum age. There are restrictions if you're under 18, but we currently serve patients with their parental supervision that are as little as 6 months old. And we have patients who are 103 right now. So it's at a physician's discretion for who they think might benefit from this. And there are additional protocols that you must come into dispensary with a guardian or a parent, and it has to be under their supervision as well that a child might take this.
So if a patient comes in and needs to be registered to obtain medical marijuana, what is the process in the New York State?
Yep. So they can go to the Department of Health's website. If you just kind of Google New York State Department of Health medical marijuana, there's a landing page, and it has a list of active physicians who have taken a course to get certified so that they can prescribe this to patients. So you have to go to one of those doctors, or you can encourage your doctor to get the course and get enrolled. And they will write a prescription, and then you take that and you register with the Department of Health independently, and you get a card. And so you have to do both of those steps to be able to visit a dispensary and purchase products. But if at any point anyone gets confused, they can call our offices or come into any of our dispensaries, and we frequently help patients who want to get enrolled in the program get through these hurdles and these steps to make sure that they can get this if they think they will benefit from it.
Okay, great information. Let's take a quick break. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with my student co-host, Michael Dorio. And today we're talking about how marijuana business is shaping up in the states that legalized it for medical and recreational use with our special guest, Hillary Peckham, COO of Etain Health, one of the country's cultivators and distributors of medical marijuana. You're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Paralyzed veteran Sean Halstead.
I got hurt practicing combat search and rescue, fell off a fast rope, so shattered L1 vertebrae. I don't know where I'd be without Paralyzed Veterans. I've only seen that now.
Paralyzed Veterans of America is a nonprofit and it gets no federal funding. Paralyzed Veteran and PVA Executive Director Sherman Gillums Jr.
And we provide every service free of charge to every veteran and caregiver that we support.
To learn more, visit pva.org. A public service message from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
We now return to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thanks for being with us today. This is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with my nursing student co-host, Michael Dorio. And today we're talking about how marijuana business is shaping up in the states that legalized it for medical and recreational use with our special guest, Hillary Peckham, COO of Etain Health, one of the country's cultivators and distributors of medical and medicinal marijuana. So welcome back, Hillary.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back.
So I had a quick question. Can someone become addicted to medical marijuana as they could with other illegal alternatives?
So studies have shown that it's not, what people get afraid of in terms of a gateway drug, but there are absolutely, addictive personalities, and that is a risk of anybody taking any medication, but it doesn't have the physical addictive qualities, or at least has not been shown to, that you'd find in like an opioid where people get dependent on them. Currently, there's still limited data, but from what I've seen, that risk is not posed. But obviously, people can get addicted to pretty much anything just based on psychological components. And so to make sure that that's being managed and that we catch that early on, we have pharmacist oversight. It's overseen also through the prescription monitoring program. So I stop, and you have a physician directly managing your care to make sure that there's not abuse.
What's some of the medical marijuana's current customer demographics, and how may that evolve?
So, what's interesting in New York is actually most of the patients are over 50, and it's kind of an even split between men and women. So it's an older demographic, and it is truly used for medicinal purposes. We have seen a more variety and more diverse customer base since the addition of chronic pain as a qualifying condition, because that really affects all age groups and all demographics. Whereas many of the preliminary qualifying conditions were generally end of life with elderly patients. So it's pretty diverse right now, and it's generally over 50, and people who are really trying to target their medical ailments.
So as with most medications, in order for it to be prescribed, obviously, you're going to have an illness or a chronic disease or pain, something associated in order for you to be prescribed this particular form of analgesia.
Yep, you're right. So in New York, they actually legislated a qualifying list of what conditions make you eligible to be prescribed medical marijuana, and those are cancer, chronic pain, HIV or AIDS, ALS, Parkinson's, MS, spinal cord injury, epilepsy, IBD, neuropathy, Huntington's, PTSD, and then the Commissioner of Health has the ability to add any condition that he deems appropriate over time. And then you also have to have one of the symptoms, which could be wasting syndrome, chronic pain, severe nausea, seizures, or persistent muscle spasms. So you have to have both a qualifying condition and a qualifying symptom in order to enroll in the program for a doctor to deem you eligible. And then you can come and start the process to become a patient.
Is it crucial to legalize recreational marijuana to establish profitability in the industry, or can it survive solely on the medicinal use alone?
I'm a firm believer that the medicinal program could survive on its own. I think that significant changes to the existing program would need to occur, and that includes that any condition that a doctor deems appropriate could qualify for this medication, because that's how all other medications are kind of dictated, as opposed to having a legislated list of conditions. I think that would be very important. I think expanding the variety of products would also be important, and probably eliminating that qualifying course. So any doctor that prescribes opioids right now should be able to prescribe medical marijuana to patients. And I think with those kind of changes, which you see in states like Florida or in Colorado, you'd have a much more expanded program, and that would also allow patients more access. And I guess the final change that I think would need to happen is that each of the current organizations would need to have more dispensaries so that there's more access to patients statewide, and for them to have access to this medication, because right now there's only about 30 dispensaries throughout the state.
Okay, and how much medical marijuana can a single person legally possess at this time? Is there a limit?
So it's very patient specific. So we have some patients who, it might be 30 capsules and they take one a day, not sufficient for them. But there are some that, might need to take one capsule every 4 hours, and so they're going to have a much longer supply. But based on what the doctor dictates and what our pharmacist sees, there isn't an exact limit other than what they deem appropriate and necessary to treat this person's condition.
You're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of NASA Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at NASA Community College, along with my student co-host, Michael Dorio. And today we're talking about how marijuana business is shaping up in the states that legalized it for medical and recreational use, with our guest, Hillary Peckham, COO of Etain Health, one of the country's cultivators and distributors of medicinal marijuana. So, Hillary, we talked about so much information. Can I get this medical marijuana? Is it available in my local CVS or Walgreens over the counter?
No. So currently it's a controlled substance, and so the only places that you can actually purchase it from are dispensaries. So okay. I guess our nearest one to Nassau County would be in Manhattan, so 39th and Lexington, and there are other organizations that are positioned statewide as well. We also are offering delivery starting this month, so we likely will be able to deliver the medication to you and oversee your consultations with our pharmacist through a virtual appointment.
Are you inviting new methods of consumption of medical marijuana?
Yep. So our company is very focused on innovation and making sure that there's discrete and very practical ways of consumption. So we are the only organization that produces a water-soluble powder that's a lot like a Gatorade powder that just mixes into any drink and is tasteless and is very discreet and you can take with you anywhere. And that's been kind of revolutionary and is very popular with our patients. We also are the first company that's put out a lozenge, which is a lot like a Halls throat lozenge or something like that, which is another way of consumption. So that's something that we're very focused on, and we'll be expanding and adding topicals later this year so that you could target pain topically through a lotion and a gel. And it's something that is a primary focus to make sure it's easy for our patients to get the relief they need.
If Hillary, if I'm in a lot of pain, I'm a patient in the community and I'm in a lot of pain and I can't get to one of the dispensaries, is there possible that I can get a designated maybe health agent to go in to pick up my marijuana?
Yep, there are a few options. So one is that you could designate a caregiver, and a caregiver can go to a dispensary and pick up your medication for you. And then you never need to come. There's another option where we can provide a virtual consult, so over essentially Skype or over the phone, where our pharmacist has a one-on-one conversation with you, and then we can deliver the products to you as well to your home. And either one is an option for our patients, and we try to make sure that those who are in need have access to this.
So how can our listening friends get in contact with you and log onto your website, possibly if you have one? Can you give us that information? Sure.
I would love to. Thank you. So our website is Etain, E-T-A-I-N, Health, H-E-A-L-T-H, so etainhealth.com. And there it has all of our information for how to contact us, but you could email us at info, I-N-F-O, at etainhealth.com, or you could call us at 914-437-7898.
Hillary, does Etain stand for anything? The name?
So Etain is a Gaelic goddess, and we are, my mother is Irish, and so it was an homage to her Irish heritage, and in legend she represents multiple forms of women. So we're a women-owned company, we're a family-owned company, It's a mother-daughter one, and so this was an homage to her, and a name that we felt represented, who we were, and was at the core of what we are trying to do, which is be the only or be one of the leading women companies in the industry nationwide.
So it's you, your mom, and whom else is a part of this?
Yep. So my mother is a CEO, and my sister is in charge of horticulture, and then I'm in charge of operations.
Awesome. Oh, wow. So the leading, female ran organization. Now, are there any competitors in the area that similar to your business?
Yeah. So there are 9 other companies, but there are no other women-owned, and there are no other New York-owned companies in the state.
That's great. That's awesome. So if you wanted to have something to say to those that are listening about your company and the use of medical marijuana, what would be a part of your recommendations or your suggestions or just food for thought?
So I think, it's really important for consumers to look at the products that they're consuming and not just, the manufacturing level, but what ingredients are additionally in your product. So making sure that your vaporizer doesn't have any excipients in it that you might be inhaling and might cause other health effects, and making sure that you ask all the right questions if you're on medications and seeing what that might impact in your treatment. But I think, absolutely give us a call and give your doctor a call to see if this is right for you. And it's been really powerful for us to see the impact this has had on quality of life in patients, and something that I think is, I wouldn't trade for the world. It's very rewarding.
So you've seen outcomes in the community with patients who, over the long term, have used the medicinal marijuana. Have you seen these studies, or do you ever look at them?
So when we got up and running, it was a few years ago, and there was very little data. And you hear anecdotally these sort of remarkable success stories, but it's been very powerful to witness them ourselves. And we have some patients who are taking, 800 milligrams of Percocet a day, which is enough to basically tranquilize an elephant. And they're really not getting the relief. They can't work, and their whole family is trying to support them and just make them comfortable. And in a month's time, many of them will just be off their opioids altogether, which are known to have health consequences. And they're smiling again, and many of them are able to actually go back to work and participate. And obviously the most impactful stories we have are of children who are having hundreds of seizures a day. And, one of our first patients, she was about 10, and within a week she said her first word, and within a month she was back in school. And her mother had a time when she baked us a cake because she didn't know what to do with herself, and she was very grateful because she's never had that kind of freedom with a child that has these kind of disabilities. And so it's really changing the quality of life for families who are supporting a loved one, and for their actually quality of life. We do a lot of work with elderly care as well, and just seeing the impact that it can have even on palliative care and end-of-life care, and making people comfortable and so that they pass with dignity and respect, and not having to be on 25 different medications is something that I think is invaluable.
Certainly is, and thank you for this very valuable information. Thank you for being here, Hillary Peckham, COO of Etain Health, and one of the country's cultivators and distributors of medicinal marijuana. Thank you. And
Thank you.
this is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with my student co-host, Michael Dorio. And we want to thank you, the listening audience, for listening to this week's edition of Your Family's Health.
We'd like to get your feedback on your family's health. Send your comments by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu. Podcasts of today's show are available on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This program was produced at the studios of Nassau Community College in cooperation with the nursing department. Join us next week for another edition of Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.